So today's topic is going to be about entrepreneurship. Since we are talking about entrepreneurship, I'm going to discuss about my business, which is Persuade Inc. And you can catch me on www.persuadeinc.org. I have an Instagram, Persuade Inc. I have a Facebook, Persuade Inc. I have a YouTube, Persuade Inc. So you can catch me on all those platforms. So how I first started my journey to entrepreneurship was right before the pandemic. So I would say 2019, 2020, right before it started. So what happened was I always was thinking about having something of my own. And I always loved one particular thing, and that was lashes. And sis knows this. I love lashes. Like, that was like my big thing. And I would always buy lashes, like always ordering lashes. So I decided to think, big. And I said, you know what? Let me start doing something for myself. So I wanted to start my own lash line. So at that particular time, I decided, okay, well, what's the next steps? What do I have to do? So what you can do is when you're looking for information, you can try to look for like Google, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. You have all of these social media platforms. But also I wanted to interject, when you look for a name, what is the site that you have to go to make sure that you're not, trademark or anything like that? So basically what I wanted to do was a sole proprietorship because I didn't want to get an LLC right off the bat because I don't have a storefront business. So what I did was there's a site that you can go on. I can't remember the name of it, but I know once you Google it, you put in, the trademark, and it'll tell you, okay, if somebody else has the same name as yours. And once you do that in Google, it will basically come up with a system, and you put in a search engine the name that you would like to name your company. And once you press the search engine, it will tell you if there's names that are familiar to your name. So you won't have that discretion, that indiscretion, whatever you want to call it. You won't have that problem. So that's what I started to do. And once I did that, nobody else had that name. So the next step was for me to start looking at vendors. So I went on Instagram and I started looking at vendors, and I actually reached out to the vendor, and the vendor was like, would you like to try some samples? So I said, since I have a village, love you girls.
Yes.
Since we have a village and, we have tremendous friends and family, I decided that I would want them to try the samples because the people that are closest to you, they would pretty much kind of be, the influence to your product. So I said, okay, well, let me try a couple of samples. And so I did that. And the response was amazing. The women, they loved it. They said it was light as a feather. They said that there was no shedding. They were comfortable. And also what was the best thing about my lashes is that they are usable and you can keep wearing them. And every other 2 weeks, you can wash them. And at 4th week, you can get rid of them. So that was the great thing about having those particular lashes and with having that company and that vendor. So one thing about that is that you do have to choose a great vendor. The next step after you do that is you negotiate. You have, a conversation with the vendor about, how much you need as far as the product, how much you think you might need as far as like the quantity. So that was my next step. Once I did that, my next step was to promote my business. So I started promoting it on Instagram, Facebook. I have my own separate page. You want to try to have your own separate page from your regular page, so that people will not get confused and get conflicted of where to find you. So not only did I do that, I also did a website, which was through a company called Wix. So you can Google certain companies on Google, and Wix will be one of them. And then you'll have other ones that will definitely be, apparent for you. So that's what I end up doing. The next step was to start doing pop-up events. So we did the pop-up events, right?
We did a couple of them.
Yeah.
But before that, I wanted to make sure that our
table and everything, because I'm more of the creative side. My sister always says that you look at certain things and you have an eye on whether it has to be presentable. So that pop-up, when you're at pop-up shops, just make sure your table is in order and that it looks presentable so that the customers can actually stop at your table and see, that this is the product that you're selling or whatever. So business cards, that was great. I was able to order our first batch of business cards, and then I did the second batch of business cards where I wanted to make sure that she loved them, my sister loved them. So go ahead, put your input in. Yeah. So regardless of all the extra stuff that goes on, like it could be a bit overwhelming with having to do so much. But if you're passionate and you really love what you do and you know that you want that really, really bad, you're going to do it. It's going to push you to the next level. And most of my friends, well, I'll say the majority of my friends were my big support. Yes. And that was like the biggest thing ever. They showed up to pop-up events and it was amazing. So that is what you would want to keep doing and striving for. So after I started doing the promoting on Instagram, Facebook, all the social media platforms, doing the pop-up events, the next level was to do a YouTube page. So I did the YouTube page, which counteracts with everything that I do on a regular basis with my lash line. So once you do that, make a page with YouTube, you kind of can interact with not only just the people you know, but everybody else, because there's so many people using that platform. And that's one thing that, you got to keep up with, because at one point I was slacking, taking my time. So what I would do is, since I'm not doing too much with the lash line, I would start, building off of affirmations, thinking about I'm doing this for a service. So this would be human service, like I'm doing this for them. And my service is basically geared towards people having, their self-esteem. They might have self-esteem issues. They might have emotional issues. So my platform is to make people feel great about themselves on a daily basis. To make you feel good. Like you're that woman. You're that chick. Yep, you're that lady. You're that queen. Yes. Because you are a beautiful queen and you should know that. So that's what my platform is geared to. And I said that I wanted it to be something that was meaningful, that made another woman that looked at me, that I look like, can say, wow, like she's doing her thing, like she's doing this, and I could do the same too. Yes. One thing I'm not a hater. I'm very supportive of other businesses. I even repost other people's businesses. Yes. And those ladies know who they are. Yes. And I will mention them when the next segment comes. I'll start mentioning other businesses and make sure that I shout them out, because there are several businesses out there that are doing their thing. And you want to be that ear, that person to keep them motivated, to let them know that you're doing your thing. You want that type of environment around you. So I have a big circle of people that keep me going, and I really appreciate them. So you want to have that supportive side as well. And then you also want to interact with even total strangers. Sometimes it can be nerve-wracking. When I would do pop-up events, my first pop-up event was very nerve-wracking. I was very nervous. Yes, she was. But I pulled through it. My friends showed up. Everybody showed up. And we had a great time. I actually did an interview the same day. I wasn't expecting to do that because I'm very nervous about, being on the spotlight. Even though I could be a little comedian here and there sometimes. But, I was very nervous about that. But I dealt with it. I fought through it. And I enjoyed myself. And I actually kept doing it. And I want to keep continuing to do it. It's a slow time. A lot of people are trying to build their businesses up. And I'm proud of the fact that people are starting to want to do their own thing, to be an entrepreneur, to leave a legacy. You want to leave a legacy for someone else. So that's my main priority, is to leave a legacy. I don't have kids, but I want to leave a legacy, maybe to a nieces, and goddaughters. And, you want to leave a legacy for other people, even if you don't leave the business to them, at least leave them the information. Yes. You want to leave that information because you don't want them to struggle as much as you did. Because I wish I had all of this information. I wish we were educated about entrepreneurship. But to counteract on that, I want to talk about how the U.S. Business Bureau, according to them, since the pandemic, there has been found a huge rise in new businesses, which were about 5.4 billion. 5.4 billion.
And the majority, I think, is Black-owned businesses.
Hey, and that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing, and we wanna have that inclusiveness. We want to build off of that. We want to go back to being our own person, having our own and creating wealth and creating a situation for the next generation
and
to come
multiple
along.
Streams of income is so important.
That's like so important.
Yes,
that's why I'm doing the podcast. I want to have even more. I have so many ideas that I want to have even more. There's so many things that you can do to be an entrepreneur. There's so many things that have so much information out there, and all you have to do is go on your phone. It's so simple as being on your phone. If you could be on the phone and play games and be on social media and just texting and writing and Googling, you can go on there and look up information about being an entrepreneur. What are the steps? How do I start my business? Now, the grants and the loans and all of those other things, that's also as well up there as well. If you have a storefront, you can do that. They have grants and all types of information out there for you. And, it depends on, most of them depend on your credit. It can be tricky, but there's a lot that's out there. There's a lot of information out there that is not probably being presented. But once you research it, you will definitely find a lot of things out there.
And it doesn't help but to ask others too.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure some people are fearful of actually asking other people how they started their business and how do I go about doing it. It doesn't hurt to ask questions. And I'm pretty sure those people, they're not going to hold everything in and be a hater. They're going to tell you, this is how I started it, and provide the information to you. And, so I think that's a great aspect of that.
Basically, pretty much. So, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you. And the next episode will be about, you already know what the next episode, what you think the next episode going to be about?
Oh, continuing your education.
Yes.
And actually
getting that degree.
I think it's so great to have. I mean, some people may not, be that into schooling, but it's something that we've actually, started, and I definitely want to speak on it in the next episode.
Yeah. So that can counteract as far as like if you want to start your own business and have your own storefront or company, going back to school, getting at the business degree could be the major impact or the major influence on owning your own. So that's going to be our next episode. We thank you for listening to us.
Yes.
And having clear thoughts.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us. Emerald Sisters Inspired.
Emerald
Sisters Inspired. Yes. Thank you.